Welcome back. Well, Will Thomas was a pretty good swimmer when he was in high school. He placed in the championships. He placed in the Ivy League championships, but he was never a gold medalist and certainly not a record breaker. So Will Thomas decided to become Lia Thomas and to compete as a woman. And ever since, he has been crushing it. Here, take a look at him yesterday at the NCAA women's swim meet. That's the best of the best, but no one's as good at being a woman as a man. Take a look. I don't know if you caught that. Someone shouted out cheater at the beginning of the race. Well, so what? Didn't stop him from winning. Here he is crowing about his victory and how glad he is to be there. A new moment, a new milestone in sport.
Lia, how did that performance measure up to your expectations coming into this meet tonight?
I didn't have a whole lot of expectations for this meet. I was just happy to be here trying to race and compete as best as I could.
You've undoubtedly been under the spotlight over the past few months. How have you been dealing with that and reasoning with everything?
I try to ignore it as much as I can. I try to focus on my swimming, what I need to do to get ready for my races, and just try to block out everything else.
What did that race mean to you?
It means the world to be here, be with two of my best friends and teammates, and be able to compete.
Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you so much.
Very disappointing for the girls and young women who have trained all their lives, getting up very early, going to swim meets, sacrificing. Here's the podium. There's Lia on the left, and then there's the three genetic women who came in second, third, and fourth. But as I always say, why do you think there will only be one transgender woman in a competition? Why don't you think others would say, hey, I sort of am middle of the pack as a fella, but let me go into the women's league and maybe I can beat Lia Thomas, but maybe I'll come in second, and that's still better I can do against other blokes. Soon you will see the entire podium, first, second, third, all the way down, being trans women. Why wouldn't you? It worked for Lia Thomas. Why wouldn't it work for anyone? Well, joining us now to talk about this is a Canadian coach, a national champion athlete in her own right, and the author of a book published by Rebel News called Unsporting, our friend Linda Blade. Linda, it's a pleasure to have you here. You were a champion athlete yourself in track and field, and you've been a coach for many years. You were there yesterday. Tell me a little bit about the mood in the room. I've got to think that most of the people there were, born XX chromosome women and girls, and they had been training their whole lives and getting up early and going to swim meets and sacrificing. But they all knew in advance they were going to be beaten by the lad, by the bloke. That's got to have hung over the whole event, did it?
Yeah, to me, going into a sporting venue, it seemed rather subdued. I have to be honest. It seemed quite subdued. And of course, those of us who were there protesting and making our voices heard on behalf of the women and the female athletes I felt anyway for myself, I can only speak for myself, but I felt torn because on the one hand, I didn't want to be there at all. I did not want to witness the destruction of women's sport, which is what is happening here. But on the other hand, I felt the need to speak out and to show the world that women really aren't just taking this laying down. We really do want to fight for our sports. And we feel, those of us who've had our turn, we feel like we need to help these young girls, these young women athletes and fight on their behalf. I mean, it's very important that somebody speaks out and says this is not correct.
That's an excerpt from my daily show, The Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.